Cardano's likely being toxic. But Cardano returns.
While WWE self-produced behind-the-scenes documentaries such as the sorely missed WWE 24 series have taken fans beyond the curtain, it wasn't until the 2025 premiere of WWE Unreal on Netflix that audiences were given unfiltered access to the company's writers' room, and nobody is like what they've seen. The 2 seasons have literally exposed WWE for how out of touch they become. In one of the episodes from the second series, Road Dogg, the co-head writer for SmackDown, pitched to have Chelsea Green regain the women's US title without so much as a course of action for what will follow. And Chelsea isn't alone in the terrible creative she's had to endure, as here are 10 WWE superstars that have been held back by stupid creative. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. Number 10. Chelsea Green. Now indeed, Chelsea Green has faced more creative turbulence than most since returning to WWE in 2023, with a caveat constantly being attached to her accolades. She was crowned as the inaugural Women's US Champion, but the title became an afterthought almost straight away, and it quickly failed in comparison to the Women's IC Championship on Raw. She formed a promising tag team with Ethan Page, but their compelling work has been confined to NXT and AAA. She debuted an offshoot American President gimmick, but much of her best work under the guise has come via her own social media profiles. Like with many before her, WWE just doesn't get Chelsea Green, and that isn't an accusation, it's a fact. During their second season of WWE Unreal, Michael Hayes, WWE senior producer and vice president of creative writing and booking, boldly declared that Chelsea's job was to elevate other stars, not be the star herself. As untrue as this statement was, it helped somewhat showcase just how out of touch WWE has become, as well as their continued inability to create new stars. Number 9. The Wyatt Six. WWE has historically struggled with how to present supernatural characters, especially in today's age where all believability has been thrown into the bin. The Undertaker and Kane remain the biggest successes within the genre, but if Mark Calloway had tried to debut that gimmick at any point within the last 10 years, he'd be as memorable as Eric Escobar. Unfortunately, the Wyatt Six are standing shoulder to shoulder with Eric Escobar in that analogy, not the dead man. Based on a thought from the complex mind of Bray Wyatt, the stable was a neat idea on paper, bringing together Bo Dallas, Bray's legitimate brother, Eric Rowe, Bray's former teammate in the Wyatt family, and Joe Gacy, Dexter Lumis, and Nikki Cross, all 3 of whom had previously excelled under similar gimmicks. The group debuted in a scorching show-closing angle on the June 17, 2024 Raw, dismantling the gorilla position and everyone in their path, including bloodying Chad Gable. But everything since then, well, it's been an absolute flop. Triple H evidently has no idea how to book the group beyond their debut. Their matches all blend into one and their feuds are drawn out and directionless, while their week-to-week involvement in WWE programming is typically restrained to Bo Dallas hacking into the live feed to deliver the same pointless promo. It's gotten bland and tiresome to watch, which seemed impossible when they first arrived. How did WWE Creative drop the ball so badly with the stable in such short time? Number 8. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. With Triple H sitting as WWE's head of creative, you could safely assume that Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate would be immune to whatever creative hellfire escaped the writers' room. The game has long been a supporter of both men, having helped them get their start in WWE in 2017 and made it a priority to showcase them heavily at the start of 2024. But this is when Tyler went down with a torn pectoral muscle. Once he was cleared to return, he and Dunne were stripped of their impeccable in-ring skills, forced to don masks as Bravo and Rayo Americano respectively, and aligned with Ludwig Kaiser, the second coming of El Grande Americano, or so we've been led to believe. Like Kaiser, the Brits have taken to the bumbling luchadors gimmick like a fish to water, but it is no way to utilize 2 of the best in-ring workers the company has ever had in its employment. Unlike Kaiser though, neither Tyler Bate nor Pete Dunne will be in a better position than they were before once they eventually lose their mask. Given the way that Triple H operates, he'll forget that he was ever interested in them and they'll be relegated to dark matches on main event. Number 7. AJ Lee. Now it may sound ridiculous to include AJ Lee on the list of wrestlers currently being held back, given that she's about to challenge Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental Championship at Elimination Chamber. But the creative that has been written for her character following her euphoric return has afforded her no opportunity to grow. Now part of that, to be fair, comes down to AJ's own trepidation. She explained to Stephanie McMahon on our What's Your Story podcast that she is cautious about what she commits to, hence her lack of continuous presence across WWE programming. When she does appear though, it becomes clear that WWE has only rolled her out to grab a pop from the live crowd. That has tragically formed the entire basis of her second WWE stint. She returns now and again, gets a deafening reaction that WWE can clip for social media to show that they're still the biggest game in town, and then she goes away again. This isn't what anybody wanted from AJ Lee's return, and sadly, it may not get any better anytime soon, even if she does dethrone Becky Lynch. Number 6. Omos. Omos was ultimately doomed from the minute Vince McMahon exited WWE in 2022. The 7'3", 416-pound colossus, the Nigerian giant was a constant fixture on WWE television in the latter days of McMahon's regime, and he was even booked to win the Raw Tag Team Championships alongside AJ Styles in his first televised match at WrestleMania 37 no less. Subsequent angles saw him feud with Styles, RK Bro, and Bobby Lashley, but he slowly faded away from regular gigs once Triple H took over. It seems that towering giants don't have much of a place in the game's WWE, and proof of that statement exists in Omos' cage match profile. Since 2023, he's wrestled just 10 times on WWE television, the majority of which were either squash matches or battle royals. The rest of the time, Omos has done the rounds on both the main roster and NXT live event circuits, and has been sent on excursions to Pro Wrestling Noah in Japan, and more recently, the WWE-owned AAA in Mexico. He's performing phenomenally there, having aligned with El Hijo del Vikingo, but why would WWE allow one of its biggest attractions to find this level of success anywhere other than Raw and SmackDown? Number 5. JC Mateo. This is what JC Mateo, then known as Jeff Cobb, had to say in 2021 regarding the possibility of him one day signing with WWE. I'd be lying if it wasn't a goal, and there's a lot of people out there that say, I would never go to WWE. Well, you know, I would guarantee they're lying. Is it the end-all be-all anymore? Probably not, but to say that you don't want to go to WWE, I think that's a bold-faced lie. 4 years later, Mateo achieved his goal and he debuted for WWE at Backlash 2025, helping Jacob Fatu retain the US Championship and joining the MFTs. And, well, that was it. Ever since, he's become a background character almost immediately, playing second fiddle to Solo Sikoa's feud with Fatu. Mateo wasn't even a muscle of the group. That role fell upon Tala Tonga, the renamed Hikuliu who had followed JC to WWE from New Japan. And with Tama Tonga and Tongaloa comprising the tag team of the stable, it's left JC Mateo, once an Olympic-level amateur wrestler, serving as an NPC of the group. MJF, the reigning AEW World Champion, recently poked fun at WWE's comically embarrassing handling of the former Jeff Cobb on X, who he called freaking awesome, and yeah, he has a point. Number 4. Sami Zayn. Now, as with AJ Lee, it may sound ridiculous to describe Sami Zayn as someone whose creative is holding them back. A consistent piece of the upper mid-card picture since 2022, Zayn was at the core of one of the biggest stories ever told in WWE. He won the Undisputed Tag Team Championships with his best friend in the WrestleMania main event, and just challenged Drew McIntyre for the Undisputed title at the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia. But he lost, and that's where the issues lie. Reports emerged following the Rumble that Triple H decided on the day that Drew should retain against Sami. Not only does that reflect poorly on his ability to book far in advance, particularly with WrestleMania 42 on the horizon, it also marked a continued disinterest from the game in crowning Sami Zayn as a poster boy at WWE, with his loss to Drew McIntyre making his fourth failed World Championship match since Triple H took over. The story was all there too, given that Drew had previously beaten Sami a shocking 11 times. But now it looks as though Sami Zayn is stuck in mid-card purgatory yet again. Number 3. R-Truth. The saga of R-Truth leaving and returning to WWE in 2025 was more complicated than it ever needed to be, so let's break it down. Truth lost his childhood hero John Cena, whom he also dressed as for the match at May Saturday Night's main event. 1 week later, he took to X to detail his imminent departure from WWE at the expiration of his contract. An outcry from colleagues and fans led to WWE rectifying its decision, and they reinstated R-Truth. 1 week after that, he returned at Money in the Bank, attacking John Cena during his main event tag team match. On the following Raw, Truth debuted a new serious attitude and cut off his dreadlocks, becoming Ron Killings. Later during an episode of SmackDown, he defeated Cena, albeit by DQ, prior to Cena cutting his pipe bomb on CM Punk. Within weeks, as John Cena reverted to being a babyface, R-Truth's comedic personality re-emerged, and the Ron Killings character was quietly killed. Describing the entire ordeal as a waste of time would be an understatement, particularly as it took a month out of John Cena's retirement tour. Worse still, R-Truth has wrestled just 10 matches since he returned, only 4 of which were televised. And in short, WWE couldn't handle the heat and rehired a man they had no intentions of using. Well, good on R-Truth for getting a decent payday for doing absolutely nothing. Number 2. Candice LeRae. Monstrous run in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, during which she famously stood opposite the Young Bucks with a crimson mask, cemented Candice LeRae as one of the biggest badasses in modern wrestling. That said, joining WWE, a promotion notorious for forbidding its talent from ever using such extreme levels of violence, was realistically the worst career choice she could have made. LeRae still managed to pull out a few good matches in NXT, but for the most part, she'll be remembered as one of the biggest mishandlings of the Triple H era, despite the game's long-standing fandom for both LeRae and her husband Johnny Gargano. She barely wrestles anymore, with her participation in the 2026 Royal Rumble making her first lick of action in 4 months. and even then, during her entrance, she got less of a reaction than Deonna Purrazzo did on that episode of Raw. A perennial what-if wrestler, Candice is unlikely to leave WWE, robbing generations of fans of understanding her true potential. And number 1, LA Knight. But Triple H will never allow LA Knight to reach his full potential in WWE because he was never supposed to get this far in the first place. That's at least according to Knight himself, as he detailed the uproar in his popularity that caused the King of Kings to change his plans during an interview with the Daily Mail. After Saudi Arabia, they're chanting it right in his face, and then in England, a lot of the questions are about me. I almost saw his face. He was probably like, more questions about this guy? This is getting out of control. That's a sign, a true testament to the fact that whatever I'm doing is working. Why exactly Triple H holds such a fierce vendetta against LA Knight is anyone's guess, but it made for a focal storyline during the 3rd episode of WWE Unreal in the 2nd season. Booked in his 3rd Money in the Bank ladder match, Knight once again came within fingertips of capturing the briefcase before he was usurped by the actual winner Seth Rollins. Moreover, a key spot in the match didn't play out as planned, with the backstage footage captured for the episode showing Triple H chewing out the former United States champion as he sat there with a face like a dog's dinner. Again, is it anyone's guess to why Triple H hates LA Knight with such a deep passion? But perhaps it's because he's played the same egotistical gimmick so much better than Trips ever did. But there you have it folks, 10 WWE superstars that have been held back by stupid creative. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.